I always have trouble flipping the camera. All right. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about, or I want to talk to first generation entrepreneurs. I am going to wait for a second and see if anybody comes in the room. My name is Rhonda Novak, and I am a business strategist, and I give business tips and strategy. And I actually build financial models for different companies and organizations. But I decided to do Periscope to actually give away strategic tips on different things for startups and those guys who are pretty new in business. And again, the name is Rhonda Novak. I'm not saying, I see actually two people, but I don't know if people are here. I'm still new on Periscope and still learning how things work. So if you're there, can you give me some hearts or something so I see? I actually see a little number down here that there are actually people in the room, but I didn't see any names of anybody, so I'm not sure if anybody's actually here. So if I get something or some taps or something so that I know if there's actually anybody in the room, that would be great. I'd kind of know. Again, the name is Rhonda Novak, and I do business strategy and absolutely positively love giving business tips to new entrepreneurs. Tonight's call is actually about first generation entrepreneurs. One of the things, I've been in business for a long time. I've done several businesses. I've had businesses that fail, businesses that I've sold, that I've given up and tried different things. And one of the things that I noticed, particularly for first generation entrepreneurs, and I consider myself to be a first generation entrepreneur, although I'm a little bit of a hybrid. I say a hybrid because my mom tried her hand at entrepreneurship, but not really. She didn't really succeed, and she never had a business that took care of her financial needs, like the household. So she did a little something here and there. She sold Tupperware. She started some organization, nonprofit, but nothing ever really took off where she could depend on that revenue to take care of the family. So I say I'm kind of a hybrid because I've seen things. We did certain things. We sang professionally as kids, and so those kinds of things where you sort of see business deals. We had to negotiate prices for our singing and that kind of thing. So we saw some. So I consider it to be a hybrid because we never really used the money to take care of our household. It was sort of extra income, but not anything to take care of our household. So first generation entrepreneurs are typically those people who have no history of entrepreneurship in their family. And so what happens typically for first generation entrepreneurs is it's harder. Everything is harder. Finding resources, figuring out business strategy, where to go, who needs what, where are you, when are you there, what do you need to do first, when does the money start coming in? Just everything seems a lot harder. Excuse me, I get the camera right. I'm sorry. Everything seems a lot harder for first generation entrepreneurs because you have to learn everything. You have to unlearn some things that don't work. And if you, by any chance, worked in the corporate world for any length of time, you have to unlearn a lot of the things that you learned in corporate world that works really well if you're a corporate person. So those things don't always work that well in the entrepreneurial world. I wrote a book entitled Transitioning from Corporate America into Entrepreneurship, and it kind of talks through the differences of being in the corporate world and being in the entrepreneurial one. So for first generation entrepreneurs, big difference, and totally hard. And what I want to say to first generation entrepreneurs is that the learning curve is steeper, and not to give up, and don't feel like you'll just never ever make it. You're on a particular learning curve. Everybody, I would say probably, and this is a blind statistic, I don't have any research to back this up, but most entrepreneurs that are first generation have a hard time. They have to learn everything. And if you're first generation, you're cutting ground that nobody else in your family has cut. So yes, it is harder. Just think about having to go through woods, cut down trees, and make a path or put a road in. That's what you're doing, and you're doing it by yourself. And it is more difficult than having a road already laid for you. So for those guys who have family members who have already been entrepreneurs, then it's not nearly as hard because they've got a road to kind of toe. They have people that they can call and resources, and they know certain things, and they know things that first generation entrepreneurs don't know. For instance, first generation entrepreneurs don't really know that it takes money to make money. They don't really get that. And that's not a put down. It's just that we sort of think that we can go out and we have this great idea and we're going to go make money on it. But what is really much harder is we don't know that we have to invest first. And we don't know how much we have to invest first. So we might be willing to put a little bit in, but my God, is it so much? Yes. Trust me, yes, it is. It is so much. It is so much more than you think it is. But that is the training ground. That is the beginning work of learning how to run your business. And yes, there are so many decisions that you have to make. So if you're first generation entrepreneur and if you're listening to this scope, if it's getting to you, then what I say to encourage you is, as a first generation entrepreneur, every other business is going to look easier. I don't care what it is. Selling sheep door to door will look easier than whatever it is you've picked to do, simply because you haven't learned yet how to make it work. So everybody else, the successful people make it look easy. And once you get there, your job you'll look easy as well. Your stuff will look as easy. So what I say is, you're going to put a lot of sweat equity in. It's going to be really tough. There are going to be a lot of decisions. Now, every first generation entrepreneur doesn't go through this steep learning curve, but I would venture to say it probably at least 90% of them do, or 95. The percentage may be even higher. There are those anomalies where people just pop off. It just works. And they don't have to do the kind of work that somebody else might have to do. But that's very, very rare that I've seen in my circles. Most of the people that I know that are first generation, we work, we bleed, we cry, we fall out, we go bankrupt, we can't figure it out. We change genres, we change writings, we change everything. We change products and services. We cry, we beg, we don't know, we buy, we spend money, we lose money. All kinds of stuff. But at the end of that journey is a grounding of learning how to run a successful business. And every entrepreneur has their own successful combination, every single one. So I encourage you, if you're a first generation entrepreneur, yes, it's supposed to be hard. It's hard for most of us. Stay in the game. One of the things about staying in the game doesn't mean that you stay with the same product that isn't working or the same service that isn't working. You might have to change products. You might have to change services, but just stay in the game. You might have to go back and get a job. Just don't come out of the game permanently. You may have to go back and regroup and figure out, okay, is this really what I want to do? Is this how I want to do it? You may have to go back to school. You may have to do anything but stay in the game. If you stay with it and you keep coming back to it, you keep learning, you keep at it, you will one day eventually get to the place where you're confident enough in your combination and what you need, and become self-assured enough that you actually will do and succeed at what it is you're trying to do. Again, you may have to change the plan 1,000 times. Do not be discouraged with that. You might have to go get a job. You might have to get a part-time job. You might have to do all kinds of things to make it work. But first-generation entrepreneurs, that's what you do. You figure out how to make it work. And it comes most of the time out of a desperation to be free of the stuff. Desperation to be free of working for other people, to see your ideas work, to see your people prosper, to give a gift to your children of thinking differently. Whatever it is, you just have to be desperate enough to not give up. And so that is my scope tonight, is to just say, don't give up. First generation entrepreneurs, you have a really tough time. It's very hard. It's not easy most of the time. Yes, there are days you want to melt down and cry, and have those moments where give yourself permission to just have those days that, oh my God, it sucks. But at the end of the day, don't give up, because I think the journey is really worth it. And what you learn from a human standpoint and from what's inside of yourself is so much greater than you could ever get working for someone else or doing something else. So if that's truly what your call is, it's truly what it is that you have to do, is be out there on your own, then stay in the game, be persistent, just be willing to pay the price to get what you want. So that's what I have to say tonight. Again, I'm Rhonda Novak. I give business strategy. I help companies create their strategy and to get better and to move to the next level. You can find me on Twitter at JustRhonda16. I'm on Facebook at Rhonda Novak. Just if you want to find me, send me an email through Twitter, find my Facebook page. Definitely will get back to you. So that's all I have for tonight. Hopefully it helps somebody, encourage somebody tonight about first generation entrepreneurs. Love you guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Catch you next time. All right. Thanks. Bye.